Welcome, my fellow modelers and ship fans. What we have here is my latest project completed, the USS Missouri in 350 scale. This is the Tamiya kit, the newest version of it, which is a modification of the New Jersey model from 1982 with new parts and enhancements so it can be built into the Missouri as seen in 1991 during the Persian Gulf War, which is how my model here portrays the ship. I believe that Tamiya was inspired or motivated to do this because of the release of the movie Battleship, where the Missouri ends up being the hero of the film and saving the world from an alien invasion. We have in here added into this model is the Pontos Super Detail set, which includes a boatload, no pun intended, of brass detailing parts, resin parts, and the biggie is a wooden deck for all the wood deck surfaces of the model, which really bring the model to life. There's just something about the color of natural wood that's very hard to duplicate with paint. It's about the brightness and the color of it. Now we're going to zoom in here and sweep down the side of the model. The crew figures are Edward pre-painted brass. This location right here is the quarterdeck, now labeled as part of the tour as the surrender deck on the ship in Pearl Harbor. It was at this location where General MacArthur accepted the unconditional surrender of the Japanese on behalf of the United States and all the Allies in a massive ceremony. And after that event concluded, a bronze plaque was struck and placed on the ship's deck to commemorate the location of that event. And you can see that plaque on the model here. I added that detail in. I'm not going to go into any other detail on the history of this ship. There's no need. Her history needs no introduction. She's arguably one of the most famous naval vessels in the entire world across all of history. The Tomahawk missile launchers that you see here are veterans models brass resin parts, as are the Vulcan failing Sea Whiz mounts. These are included with the Pontos model detail set. Now, if any of you go to buy this model and the Pontos set to build, I'm going to tell you here that the Pontos set also includes some resin 5-inch gun houses to replace the old under-detailed ones in the Tamiya's original tool of the model. In this new tool, they give you brand new 5-inch gun houses as well as brand new main and secondary gun battery directors. These new parts are spot on accurate. You don't need to use the resin parts in place on the model. And Tamiya's new parts are actually more accurate than the resin ones that are included. Here's our refueling rig here. I didn't put any helicopters on the flight deck area because even though I have some I have yet to paint up, but in my opinion, I don't think you would see any helicopters on one of these vessels except for a short visit because there are no hangar facilities for any storage of a helicopter for any more than maybe a couple of hours. There are aircraft tie-downs on the deck, however, so if they do need to secure a helicopter, they can. That twin squared shape just below the ship's name is the deployment doors for the Nixie torpedo decoy system, added to these ships in the 1980s. Now we're going to sweep on down the port side of the ship. That big oval structure on top of the pilot house, that's the armored conning tower that extends deep down into the ship, as do the barbettes for the gun turrets. The gun barrels, both the main and secondary, are, as I said before, turned brass. They come with the Pontos Super Detail set. I modified the mounting so the gun barrels are up at a higher elevation for appearance purposes. I think they look more impressive like this. Most of the paint that I used on this model are actually craft acrylic paint from Michaels, thinned with Windex and then airbrushed on. But if you know how to use those paints, you can use them on your plastic model kits without any problems. They work very well, and they have a large color selection. Now here we're going to have a bow-on view from the starboard forward quarter from above, sweeping back. You can appreciate these guns. Now, just a little bit of information to make this video seem less boring. This door right here is the executive officer's cabin, and this door right here and the one on the opposite side of the ship is for the officer's wardroom. The captain's quarters is here, occupies the entire portion of from here back to around here on this entire half of this deck. And the one level above in World War II, Korea, was the Admiral's flag quarters, where Admiral Halsey stayed. And during the 1980s refitting, the Admiral's quarters was gutted to make way for the ship's CEC, or the Combat Engagement Center. And then there's another cryptic communication center added on the other side on this deck, the other side of the center line. So Admiral Halsey's famous quarters were not preserved, unfortunately. But as far as I know, the officer's wardroom and the captain's personal, his import cabin is what is located here. As far as I know, those facilities were not too heavily modified from World War II. This area up in here behind the bridge, that's the captain's at sea quarters. Sometimes I believe most of the time when the ship is underway at sea, he can stay in there. It has a small ship's head and couch and bed and office, so he can stay by close to the bridge. Okay, everybody, that's going to conclude this video tour brief tour of this model. Please feel free to leave your comments in the comment section and any suggestions you might have. And I thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and depending upon where you are in the world, have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, and you all take care and be safe out there.